They laughed, didn't they? Thought it was amusing to poke, prod, and tear away the skin that held the darkness within you. They grinned as they chipped away at your restraint, carving wounds into your patience, dancing near the edge of the abyss they believed to be nothing more than a myth. They thought the storm in your eyes was just an illusion, a harmless shadow flickering in the wind. But oh, how blind they were. How foolish. Because some shadows don't fade into the night. Some shadows grow claws, teeth, and a hunger that no light can quench. They stirred something they should have left buried. A beast that doesn't roar. It grins. A phantom that doesn't chase. It waits. They thought they were playing a game, stacking the odds, dealing the cards, whispering in the dark, pulling invisible strings. But in their arrogance, they forgot one simple rule. The thing about monsters, once awakened, is they don't go back to sleep. No. They hunt. And the hunt, that's the part they never saw coming. You felt it, didn't you? That pulse in your veins, that slow creeping sensation licking up your spine as the embers in your soul turned to fire. The chains they wrapped around you, they weren't meant to hold something like you. They were meant for sheep, not a wolf sharpening its fangs in the dark. And now that the mask is cracked, now that the illusion of your submission has shattered, they stand frozen, watching, realizing far too late that they never had control to begin with. They simply delayed the inevitable. You see, they were under the impression that power is something you can take, something you can own. But real power isn't stolen, borrowed, or handed over in boardrooms or sealed behind signatures and contracts. No, real power is primal, something woven into the very bones of those who were never meant to kneel. It's something they feared all along but never understood. And now they have front row seats to the performance of a lifetime. Their downfall scripted and directed by the one they mistook for a mere shadow. They can't run. Oh, they'll try, they'll scramble, they'll beg, they'll bargain with the very gods they mocked. But the joke's on them, because you're not just the storm. You're the reckoning. You're the hand that grips their throats in the night, the whisper that crawls into their minds, the weight pressing down on their chests, suffocating them with the realization that the past cannot be undone. The darkness they woke in you, it's awake now, and it's staring right at them, smiling. They wanted to see what lay beneath your skin, what lurked behind those quiet eyes, what hid beneath the surface of your restraint. Well, they got their wish, didn't they? The stage is set, the lights are dim, and the curtains have finally pulled back. They called forth something they don't understand, something they cannot contain. And now, as their knees tremble, as their hearts pound, as the cold fingers of fear tighten around their throats, one thing becomes painfully, beautifully clear. There is no escaping this. No running, no hiding, no pleading for mercy that will never come. They've spent so long underestimating the very force they now cower before. They mistook silence for weakness, patience for submission, and restraint for absence of rage. But oh, if only they had known what was brewing beneath the surface. If only they had realized that beneath the still waters, the Leviathan was waiting. Not sleeping, but waiting. And now it rises. They thought they had all the time in the world, that their games would never backfire, that the things they did in the dark would never come crawling, falling back into the light. But here's the thing about shadows. They stretch, they move, they consume, and when the right moment arrives, they strike. They thought they could bury their sins, cover them in dust, pretend they never happened. But what they fail to understand is that some sins claw their way to the surface, screaming, gnashing, dragging their creators down into the pit they built for someone else. And the pit is deep. Deeper than their arrogance, deeper than their deception, deeper than the false security they wrapped themselves in like a tattered old blanket. And now they fall. Down, 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 grasping at nothing, screaming into silence, watching as the walls close in around them. No one to call, no hands to reach for, no salvation waiting at the bottom, just darkness. Endless, suffocating darkness, the same darkness they woke in you. You were patient. You watched, you learned, you let them think they were winning, let them bask in their delusions of control. But the truth? Oh, the truth is a blade sharper than any lie they ever told. The truth is that they were never in control. They were never safe. They were simply standing on borrowed ground, in borrowed time, in a reality that was always destined to collapse. And now, as their world crumbles, as they gasp for breath, as they choke on the ashes of their own making, they finally understand the one thing they never wanted to believe. The dark side they stirred, it doesn't let go. It doesn't forgive. It doesn't forget. It grips. It tightens, it consumes, and it never, ever lets them escape. They claw at the walls of their own minds, gasping for a way out, scrambling for mercy that does not exist. The realization slithers up their spines, cold and suffocating. The trap they set was never yours to fall into. The chains they prepared were never meant to bind you. No, they were the architects of their own prison, forging their own shackles with every betrayal, every deceit, every smug smirk they thought would go unanswered. And now they stand at the mercy of something that has none. The dark side they awakened is not just watching, it is circling, stalking, feeding on the fear that radiates from their every trembling breath. They flinch, its shadows, hearts hammering like desperate war drums against their ribs. Every whisper in the wind sounds like their name being dragged through the void. Every flicker of movement in the dark feels like an omen, a reminder that there is no undoing what they have done. They stirred something ancient, something ruthless, something that does not believe in fair play, and now that something has them in its grip. They were so used to playing the game, pulling strings, manipulating the board, moving pieces like gods who believed themselves untouchable. But the game is over, and the pieces they once commanded are nothing more than shattered fragments beneath your boots. There is no more deception to hide behind, no false smiles to wear like armor. Just the raw, unfiltered horror of facing what they tried to destroy, alive, relentless, and grinning at their suffering. You don't rush. No. This is not a battle of speed. This is a slow, agonizing unraveling, a masterpiece of psychological ruin. They must feel it all. Every ounce of terror they once forced upon others, every sleepless night, every suffocating moment of helplessness they thought they would never taste themselves. And taste it they will. Every moment that passes is a turn of the blade, sinking deeper into their sanity, twisting, carving messages into their very existence. They thought they had you figured out, thought they could predict your next move. But the thing about a force like you is, it doesn't follow rules. It doesn't fit within the confines of their limited imagination. They mistook restraint for weakness, silence for submission. What a mistake. What a deliciously fatal mistake. Because now they are trapped in a nightmare of their own making, and you are the nightmare's architect. Oh, how they wish they could take it back. The taunts, the smirks, the endless little cruelties they thought were just another day of amusement. They were blind, so painfully blind to the inevitable, to the price of stirring something that was never meant to be disturbed. But regret does not rewrite history. It does not erase sins. It does not turn back the ticking clock that now drums its final ominous beats in their ears. Look at them, reduced to hollow echoes of the arrogant beings they once were, once so loud, so sure, so convinced that the world belonged to them. And now they are whispers, shaking hands, shattered egos dripping from their lips like poison they can no longer swallow. They reach for salvation, but salvation is a cruel joke with a twisted sense of humor. And you are the punchline. They beg. Of course, it is always the same in the end. The mighty, the cunning, the self-proclaimed untouchables. All of them reduced to trembling creatures, spilling out pleas like shattered glass from a broken frame. But mercy? Mercy is a language they never spoke when they held the knife. So why should they expect to understand it now? No, they don't get to rewrite the rules just because they no longer hold the pen. The ink is yours now, and you are writing them into oblivion. There is no salvation, no way out, no escape hatch hidden in the wreckage of their downfall. They are caught in the jaws of something that does not loosen its bite. Something that does not forgive, does not forget, does not falter. The abyss they tried to push you into, it is now swallowing them whole, inch by inch, dragging them down into a darkness they will never claw their way out of. And as they fall deeper, as the weight of their own sins wraps around their throats like a noose, tightening with every passing second, one truth glares at them with merciless clarity. The grip will never loosen. The reckoning is not over. And the worst is yet to come. Their past is catching up to them, a ghost with claws sharp enough to carve through their pretenses. They try to hide, try to mask the fear behind empty bravado, but their eyes betray them, wild, desperate, darting from side to side like prey that knows it has nowhere left to run. The walls are closing in. The air is thick with the stench of dread. Every breath they take is laced with the sour taste of impending doom. You can see it now, how realization dawns upon them, like a storm rolling in, dark and merciless. The understanding that their sins have piled too high, that the weight of their cruelty is finally crushing them beneath its unbearable mass. They are not just trapped in the moment, they are trapped in a cycle they themselves created. And now, you are the hand that tightens the noose, the voice that whispers their own sins back into their ears, the shadow that ensures they never wake from this nightmare. Panic sets in, a frenzied, animalistic urge to claw their way out of this, to escape. They scramble, panic seizing their every movement. Desperation paints their faces, their eyes wide and frantic, but there's no escape. No way out. The walls they built for themselves now close in, every step forward an illusion, every breath a futile attempt to break free. They can't run from the reckoning that has already begun. In their frenzy they realize, far too late, that this is no ordinary trap, no simple consequence. It's a reckoning woven with the fibers of their own malice, their cruelty, their pride. A reckoning that cannot be bargained with, no matter how many gods they pray to. Their sins, once buried and forgotten, now resurface, clawing at their souls with the ferocity of a storm. The darkness rising from the depth of their own making. The shadows, they aren't just watching. They're closing in. It's a slow, deliberate suffocation. It's the weight of every wrong they've committed, every hurt they've inflicted, gathering like a storm cloud above them. A storm that will not relent, that will not disperse. They will drown in it, suffocate under its relentless pressure. But still they beg for mercy, beg for forgiveness. The language of the defeated, the broken. A language they never learned to speak when they held the power, when they thought they were gods walking among mortals. Now, they realized the truth that was always lurking beneath the surface. You were never just another shadow in their game. No, you were the one they underestimated, the one they thought they could control, manipulate, break. But they never understood, never saw the depths of the darkness within you, the depth of the beast they dared to awaken. And now, they will learn. This is their punishment, the punishment they thought they could avoid. But now there is no avoiding it. No bargaining, no pleading, just the slow, inevitable fall into the abyss they created. Their time is up. Their game is over. And the shadows, they're no longer whispers in the wind. They're the weight pressing down on their chests, the eyes watching them from every darkened corner, the sound of their own heartbeat echoing in the silence of their unraveling. And all they can do is wait for the final turn of the blade. The last whisper of darkness, the ultimate reckoning. And as the fear rises, as the last remnants of their pride crumble away, one final truth burns through the fog of their terror. They were never in control, and now they will never escape.